Well, the day's arrived. We're in Cologne for tonight's Scotland game against Switzerland. The pivotal game built for Steve Clarke and the boys after what happened in Munich. Building up nicely. There's a good atmosphere about here. I don't know if you can see there's some kids in the background playing football. It's a good atmosphere around the city.
Yeah, it's great. The Tartan Army are up surprisingly bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. There are so many Scottish people here. Somebody was saying this morning 60,000 were expecting here, which blows my mind. I was expecting that half the people that come would just be here for the Munich weekend and go home, but we were here last night and you just couldn't move.
Yeah,
for Tartan Army.
There was terrible weather last night. I think it was you'd have seen on social media and reported in the paper and the Scottish Sun website. The weather was absolutely atrocious, real storms, but it didn't really seem to dampen the spirits of the fans. They were out in huge numbers and they just carried on regardless.
It didn't dampen our fans, and it certainly didn't dampen on our way back from the Scotland press conference last night. The Turkish fans, we got about 5-10 minutes from our hotel in a taxi, and everywhere you went, every street was just blocked with Turkish fans in cars, waving flags, blowing their horns. And our driver gave us the most amazing 10-minute masterclass in German swearing. It was honestly, if we'd had Frankie Boyle in the back of the car, he'd have leaned over and said, "Oh, mate, come on, bring it down a bit here."
It did make the journey last about twice as long. It was meant to be a 10-15 minute journey. It took us about 45 minutes. It was incredible. It was good scenes, though, wasn't it? Because
brilliant.
Great to see fans happy. They were delighted, tooting their horns and leaning out the car windows and sunroofs and stuff. It was brilliant to see.
Yeah. And then when we got back here, I mean, it really did. At one point, it was bouncing off the streets. The Tartan Army just carried it out with the shorts on and the tops, and they think we're wet now. We'll just keep going. And by I don't know, we didn't eat till maybe 11 o'clock after work, and it was still going strong well into the night. So hopefully everybody's just as happy tonight.
How are you feeling about things? Because I don't know about yourself. I'm up and down. One minute I'm thinking Scotland are going to be up for this. They're going to turn it on. They're going to produce a performance that's night and day from what they turned out against Germany. But then a few minutes later I'm worried that it's going to be the same again and we're going to be looking at a post-mortem tomorrow. I don't know, it's just hard to put our finger on it. What do you think?
I tend to get a feeling in the day of games that I get a burst of optimism. Actually, I think we're going to do well tonight. Today I haven't wakened up with that, so I'm hoping that on the basis that we went to Munich and I was thinking, yeah, we can do this, and then what happened in Munich, I'm hoping that this feeling I get this morning is going to be completely blown out the water and we're going to get the result. You
were speaking to Andy Robertson last night. I thought he spoke really well. He spoke at length in detail about what happened in Germany. He didn't just park it, he actually addressed it, said it wasn't good enough. I thought it was quite interesting what he was saying. He actually spoke about the team having fear in that first game, which it was kind of quite abrupt to hear. It kind of jolted when he said it, but at least they're facing up to that, because it did look that way.
Yeah, and I think they've had a really good. I mean, that was the first time. We've heard a lot of stuff this week that I won't say was like platitudes from the players, but they did come out almost a practice line of, you'll see a different version of us we've all had. But he really talked last night about the process of. He sat them down on Saturday morning and said, right, we're all a bit fed up, we're all a bit sick, go and have a think about yourself, and by dinner time tonight it is out the way, it's done. And he gave them that deadline and then said, as of then, there's a line under this and we move forward, which I thought was proper leadership from him.
You're right, because he actually did say he gave the players.
He gave it, not Steve
or the backroom guys, that he gave them. It was interesting, wasn't it?
Yeah, very much. And you wonder what the chain of command is, but he's obviously so trusted by Steve Clarke to make the rules within the squad, and he said, you've got till dinner time tonight. The manager will then have a meeting with us after dinner to look at various individual things, and I think then Steve Clarke said exactly the same thing. Tomorrow morning we go on the training pitch and it's done.
It's an important thing that we deal with Granit Xhaka, and I know he's not a Tony Cruz by any stretch of the imagination, he's not, but he's a good player. Do we have to deal with him?
Yeah, it was before I answer this question,
hold on a minute.
Good morning. There we are now.
Thank you, Shane.
Coffee.
Thank you.
Coffee.
Thank you.
Now we're talking.
Yeah, so what were we saying? Kind of lost my train of thought there.
Absolutely. No, his whole leadership thing there, I think, was very important. And then he then talked about how, somebody asked him a question along the lines of, when do we stop talking and when do we start doing things? And he says, now. He says, I could sit here and talk football to you all night. I could talk problems to you all night. It will change nothing. It will achieve nothing. It's time for action. And I really liked that.
Yeah, but it has, as I say, Granit Xhaka, I was asking about him before we were rudely distracted by the
cakes.
Fantastic cakes. We need to deal with him better, don't we? Because he's not a Tony Kroos. He's not anywhere, I don't think anywhere near as good as Tony Kroos, but he's a top player. He's been outstanding for Leverkusen in the German league. We need to deal with him. We need to get close to him.
Whatever levels of player you're talking about, if you give them space in the middle of the park, they're going to do you harm, right? Steve Clarke has now pretty much said, we should have had a different attitude toward Tony Kroos. He was asked last night to compare, by a Swiss journalist, to compare Kroos and Xhaka, and he basically said, you know, apples, oranges, they're two different players. However, if you give Granit Xhaka 10 yards of space the way we did to Tony Kroos, he can do to us, and various other Swiss players can do to us, what the Germans did to us. So there has to be. Andy Robertson talked last night about every single area of the team, every position having to be better, doing what we do the way we did it against Spain and Norway and Cyprus in the games we qualified, remembering what we were good at. And that was a good way of putting it. Remember what we were good at.
Remember what got us here. Because that's the thing, we have turned out some huge performances. We think of the Spain game, I know we get a little bit of luck towards the end of the Norway game in Oslo, but we earned that luck by the attitude and the resilience of the players, and they need to show that now. And I think our big players especially, Andy Robertson spoke brilliantly last night, I thought, but we need a big performance from Andy Robertson. Tony Ralston in the right wing back slot didn't have a great game against Germany, and we kind of highlighted that, but Andy Robertson's got so much experience at top level in England and playing European football. He has to do better. We have to get more from him down that left side.
Well, he talked last night about the fear thing, and he said they spooked Scotland by pumping the ball on top, which we talked about earlier in the week. They pumped the ball on top of us from the first kick of the ball, and we never get out. They then dropped their back line in, which meant Jay Adams went with them, which suddenly we had this 40-yard space in the middle of the park that Kroos. He says, so he's saying that we have to be the ones who set the tempo and the shape, rather than letting the opposition do it. And unless we do that, unless we decide to be on the front foot and to make it about us rather than about the opposition, I think we'll be in trouble.
Yeah, as we said at the start, there's about 60,000 estimated Scotland fans here. So many more obviously watching back home. Everyone's backing the team. The players, I think, owe these fans a performance, but they owe themselves a performance, don't they? Because we don't want to be talking tomorrow about back-to-back Euros and these guys who we think are top players. We believe in them, and yet they're not doing themselves justice.
At the end of the day, whatever your job is, whatever your profession is, whatever your role is in life, the first person you owe your best to is you. If you come away thinking I didn't do my best, then nobody else is going to be impressed with you. And every one of those players, Andy Robertson the other night, within the first couple of minutes, got caught ball watching with a ball in behind him, and you went, that's Andy Robertson, that's a Liverpool left back, that's our captain. And so he has to look at that as he's talking about last night, and he's got to say, right, how do I do that better this time? What am I good at? What am I good at with Liverpool? What was I good at against Spain at Hampden? That through 11 players gives us a better chance of winning this game.
I also think we need Angus Gunn to have a good game. He's been brilliant for us since he's come into the squad. I really like him, but I think he was at fault for at least two of the goals, certainly the first one against Germany. I think he'll know that himself. We need him to have a big night, don't we? We need him to show why he's there and kind of produce, because if we give away cheap goals at the start, it could be a long night.
But I mean, we could Angus Gunn definitely. His confidence looked a little bit short the other night, but I think, Robert, all the way through the team, you know, there's nobody that you can say, well, he had a great game in Munich and we can build it around him. You know, everybody needs to up their game a good 20-30%, really that much from. But Angus Gunn's an interesting one, because when he came in, people thought, well, I don't really know this boy, I know he's Brian's son, but you know, and suddenly he came in against Cyprus, Spain and Norway, didn't lose a goal from open play for the first 3-4 games he played in, and really thought, wow, we've got a real find here. And then we left Craig Gordon at home, we thought, that's because he's the number one. And then suddenly you're thinking he's taking a real knock in Munich, a real knock, and that's an important one for him to bounce back from.
And he gives it, if he does maybe make an early save or look comfortable and relaxed, that will give the guys in front of him confidence, because the last thing they need is to think that the guy behind him, the number one goalkeeper, is maybe a little bit anxious, a little bit nervous.
Well, the thing is, Angus is very good with the ball at his feet, and yet the other night when he was doing the sweeper role, he never looked assured with his feet, and that's a confidence thing, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, I'm confidently going to predict, Bill, that we're going to demolish these cakes.
Oh, very much so.
What have you got this morning?
A little bit of tartufo, little sort of little chocolate tart thing with some cream and some berries on the side, and you just seem to have half of Bavaria's dairy content.
It looks tremendous, it looks absolutely brilliant. Hopefully tomorrow we're talking about a good Scotland performance, and more importantly a good Scotland result. We have to get a point at least to keep this going, and I think it's going to be difficult, but we're all behind the boys. The fans certainly are. They're here in good huge numbers. The weather's holding off for now, and hopefully the boys can get a result. They'll be dissecting the game tomorrow, and hopefully it's a good one.